Good morning, everyone. Today I am posting a link to a documentary below this video because many people don't believe when I say that the Fourth Reich has been on the move in Ukraine for a very long time. And this is a documentary from 7 years ago that no one has paid attention to and is definitely worth a watch. I wanted to speak a little bit this morning about what it was like to grow up in Ukraine and the kind of events that just went on a daily basis. First of all, there were many problems with resources, and I'm sure you heard of the Soviet bread lines. We had that my entire childhood. We stood in line for bread for 3 hours, and sometimes if you got there late, you would leave empty-handed. Same thing with milk. You had a line for every single type of produce that would be shipped into the stores. Ukraine has a massive agricultural economy, and so we would have certain contracts that we would need to deliver to Europe for wheat and corn and different grains, vegetables and things like that. And what the Ukrainian government was doing was promising these contracts, and if there was a slightly bad harvest, the people of Ukraine would starve. They would fulfill the contracts first, and then the people of Ukraine would get whatever was left over, and sometimes nothing. So my entire childhood, we had to farm our own food on our dacha. We had a plot of land that was given to us, and we would take the bus, work there all day, and then haul whatever food we could get back home, walking for many kilometers and taking public transportation where we could. As far as the school system goes, we had to wear a uniform. We had giant murals of Lenin and Stalin on the wall, and we would march to class in single military file, and then we would stop at these murals and we would salute Grandpa Lenin and Grandpa Stalin on the walls of the buildings. Okay, I remember being lined up to receive vaccines. There was no permission slips. You were literally property of the state, and they would line us up and they would administer vaccines in the schools. You didn't have a right to choose. There was none of that. As far as being able to leave, you were not allowed to leave the country, and this is still true today. You had to have some kind of reason. You had to go through multiple interviews to get out of the country. And that's why the only way we were able to escape is as Jewish refugees. And we went through many interviews, and my grandma had to tell them about the violence and the attacks so they would let us leave the country. Otherwise, you are literally property of the state. You cannot escape there. The other thing that Ukraine has is when you turn 16, you finish school when you're around 16. There, I think there's only 10 grades now. Is a very densely packed curriculum. But when you turn 16, the women would have to do slave labor in the fields. So you serve your country for 2 years. And I didn't have to go through that because I was younger and we left before them. But my sister did have to serve her time, and she said the trucks would drop them off in the middle of the field, and then you were there all day long, and there's no food, there's no access to water. She said, like, if you're harvesting carrots, you're eating carrots that day. If you're harvesting beets, you're eating beets like straight out of the ground out there in the field. And the men would have to do military service to serve their country. So like they would just split you up like that. You didn't get paid for it. It was your civil duty to serve in the military forces or in the fields. And my cousin's friend from California about 10 years ago went back to visit his family in Ukraine, and he went and stayed with them. And he was trying to get back on the airplane to come back to America. And they stopped him and they said, hey, you never served your civil duty to your country. And they didn't let him come back. It took him 3 years to make it back to America. They held him there despite him being an American citizen, despite him having family and having a business in the United States. They forced him to stay there and serve military duty. Now, does that sound like a democratic country to you? Absolutely not. I highly encourage you to watch the documentary of the link that I'm posting, because there's literally been the rise of the Fourth Reich of Nazis in Ukraine, and this is who we are supplying weapons to, okay? I've been talking to my family and friends in Ukraine and Russia. In Ukraine, they shut off access to all other media, and they are being beat over the head with propaganda about how Putin is evil. He's turned on his own people. Like the Ukrainian and Russians have been intermixed for a long time. We consider each other brother and sister, and so they're saying that he's turned on his own people. He's trying to bomb and murder everybody. And they're not allowing them to see what is actually happening, and they're all hiding out in subway systems. I actually have downloaded the documents of the military executive order that they carried out from Russia, and they were targeting biolabs. I have the documents of all the strains of viruses that they were developing in these biolabs. Okay, that was their entire mission and entire point, was to destroy any possibility of another biological attack on the world. I should probably list some of those strains, and so you guys know what was actually going on in there. A lot of people here don't believe that information either. So if Putin was trying to destroy Ukraine, he would have done so already. They went in, they were not trying to kill civilians. They are trying to carefully weed out the Nazi arms and all of their weapon systems so that they could create peace. My entire childhood, I grew up hearing about bombings against Chechnya and all this stuff. Of course, when you're young, they try to shelter you from like the real reason. They're just like, there's conflict going on, there's people being bombed, but they don't tell you exactly why. In this documentary that I'm posting, you can see exactly what's been happening down there, and I really urge people to stop listening to propaganda. There's so much misinformation, but people are so conditioned to stare at their TV and to just take everything at face value. So anyway, I hope you guys have a good day. Please share this information with anyone you can, anyone interested, because I feel what's going on right now is very, very wrong. The only people who are going to suffer are the people of Ukraine, the peasants like myself, the people of Russia, the soldiers, Russian soldiers who are being murdered right now because we're arming criminals. All right, peace out.